Hello there, Mr. Lee here, and welcome to the Herculaneum Gates in Pompeii as we explore the Tomb of Naevoleia Tyche. But where exactly are we? Here we are in the Bay of Naples with Mount Vesuvius there, the modern city of Naples here, Herculaneum just up around here, and Pompeii, which we're going to zoom into now. So, here is Pompeii. Here we've identified it with the shape of the town wall running just all the way along here. We need the northwestern side of the town actually, and this area here is the Herculaneum Gate. You can see this road coming in through the gate and into the main area before ending up into the forum just here. So this is the Herculaneum Gate with the coastline quite close by. We're actually going to use this man here and go onto Google Street View so we can identify exactly where we are. Here we are on the road outside of Herculaneum Gates looking out from the town. If I spin the camera around, here is Herculaneum Gates that we saw in the first shot of the video, and here we are outside the town walls. Tombs tend to be outside the town walls. Here's an example of a tomb here, because Romans believed that the dead should be buried outside, away from the living, to remove pollution. Pollution in the sense of a moral pollution that they might cause. The dead and the living shouldn't really mix. There seems to be a glitch on Google Street View that doesn't allow me to walk in this gap from about there to here. So this is where we were earlier with Herculaneum Gates right up at the top of this slope, and if I turn it around this way, the road forks from Herculaneum with one path sort of sloping up back towards the north end of the wall, while if I zoom or pan round further, this is the tomb of Aulus Lucius Libella, I believe, and the road goes south towards Herculaneum, Oplontis, and Oplontis and Naples. Right, we're slowly getting to where we need to be, because this here is the Tomb of Naevoleia Tyche. It's got some nice grand neighbours next to it, and you can see the bit jutting out. This in fact isn't the base. It's kind of quite hard to see it from this image, so I'll show you in the video later on. You can access the area here. This is the grand bit of the tomb built with marble, and this sits on a stone base. And if you were to go all the way around the base to the rear, then you would be able to find a little door with access to a chamber within the base. So the block of stone, if you like, that this marble tomb sits on is actually hollowed out with a chamber in the middle.
Okay, perhaps something to bolster your sugar levels. And then from the forum, I'm saying in front of the Temple of Jupiter in the forum, which hopefully you will now know what that is. It's the big temple with Vesuvius behind it. Okay.
Fancy a break? We're actually in the chamber underneath the marble part of the tomb. There is actually a bench, and there's some lighting as well, some oil lamps and some urns. Urns that probably contains the remains, the ashes of those who were in the tomb. Now, excavators found them when they excavated the area, thankfully, or maybe you are curious to find out, but thankfully you can't find them there anymore when you go and visit it. Some of the urns actually contained burnt bones and some liquid offering, we think. That's what the scientists found remains of. If you want a more comfortable seat though, like the one that you can actually see on the image, then unfortunately, unless you're someone fairly important, you won't be able to use it, because what we think that is a basileum, a sort of chair that is available for very important people at the theatre or the games. And look, you can rest your feet on a footstool just below the chair. Isn't that luxury?
Right. Okay, so You look like you just need a little bit of a break from all this stuff. So enjoy.
There's quite a procession of information on this tomb, and in a moment you're going to get a procession of information on the procession, which probably includes Naevoleia Tyche, the person on the name of the tomb. Above the foundation of the tomb, the structure rises 2 steps before you get to the monumental part of the tomb. It's richly decorated, it definitely looks expensive. It's got scrolls at the top, it's got a slight platform with inward sloping downwards, going all the way around, although as you can see from the picture, bits of it have fallen off. To me, it looks almost like a lid of a tomb being placed on the rim of the tomb, but that's just my observation rather than any expert analysis. Now, underneath it, we're on the side of the monumental part of the tomb that faces out onto the street, parallel to the street, if you like, the eastern face of the tomb. And you can see there is a procession there, which I will come back to because I think it's useful to know some information about the person who dedicated this tomb and the person to whom it is dedicated. And for that, we will need to look at the inscription. Now, this is what the inscription says in its original Latin on that east face. And here is the inscription translated into English. So let's use that to find out a little bit more about the tomb. The person who sponsored the tomb is a woman called Naevoleia Tyche. She's a freed woman of Julia Tyche. She was formerly a slave and is now a freed woman. And the tomb was built for herself and also for Gaius Munatius Faustus. So husband and wife. They were both formerly slaves and they became freed. Now, the tomb really is built for Gaius Munatius Faustus. At this point, he is dead when she decided to build a tomb for him. The interesting thing is Gaius Munatius Faustus already had a tomb built for him at a more modest scale on the southern side of town by the Nucarian Gate. But she's decided to build another tomb, this one to a grander scale, on a more travelled location as well, I would suspect. Perhaps she feels more the need to show off either for herself or to show him off. Maybe he's more modest about his own achievements. Well, here you ask, what is Gaius Munatius Faustus' achievement? Well, he was a priest of Augustus and Augusto. He was a magistrate of the suburb. He held important roles in many ways, and I must say, to be a priest of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, as we would see it, is quite an honourable position. So he must have at least had some respect of the people in Pompeii. The other reason why we know that he would have had respect of Pompeii is the Basileum that we saw on the southern side of the monumental part of the tomb. The Basileum is the double length chair that you could use at the large theatre, for example. In any case, Gaius Munatius Faustus, he had access to that, and he was given that privilege, that honour, by the decurions or decuriones. These are people who are councillors, if you like, people who serve in the local politics of Pompeii. So, I would suspect that Gaius Munatius Faustus probably dabbled in a bit of politics himself, and actually priesthoods are a political position anyway, and he got somewhere, and people recognized him for that. And he may well be modest, but his wife would like other people to really see from the monument how much he has achieved. So that's why she erected this monument in her lifetime for her freedmen and women, and for those of Gaius Munatius Faustus. Here you see a a slave owner or a pair of slave owners who think about their own freedmen and freedwomen. Let's go back to the actual image then. So here again is the east face of the monumental part of the tomb, and this is the inscription we were just looking at, the original form of it, and underneath is a scene of a procession. Actually, we're not really sure what this scene is. I've used the term procession because there's a lot of people walking along. In fact, it probably looks more like a ceremony. These people seems more formal on this side. These people seems to gather more in numbers, and then there's something going on in the middle. Now there are different interpretations of this scene. Some people suggest that this might actually be the dedication of the very tomb. So this is the tomb in the middle, or the sacrifice or something going on in the middle. On the right hand side is the magistrates, probably, I would say, and on the left hand side is probably the family, all looking on at the sacrifice. And typically at a Roman funeral there will be some sort of sacrifice, so that kind of makes sense. Other people might suggest that it's actually some sort of ceremony, perhaps celebrating his life. I think what's interesting perhaps is that Naevoleia Tyche is probably part of this image if this is a dedication, if this shows the dedication of the tomb. And one wonders, because I presume the tomb would have been made, as in the image would have been made before the tomb was dedicated. So that will make it interesting, wouldn't it? So not entirely sure what it is, but something grand and formal anyway, befitting someone who has had a political life in Pompeii. I missed a bit of information out, so let me quickly add this clip onto the video. That there she is, I think it's a she. That's probably Naevoleia Tyche herself, looking out. Just imagine walking along the street on your way back from Herculaneum to Pompeii, and you happen to be walking past, you look over, you can almost give her a wave. She's looking out at all the travellers coming by. So make sure you do give her a wave when you go past the tomb next time you visit Pompeii. Talking about waves, Munatius has certainly made waves in his life, as can be depicted in the north side of the monumental part of the tomb, where you can see a ship, probably a merchant ship. Some people suggest that the presence of a ship on this tomb signifies the passing of the ship of life, but other people prefer the interpretation. Particularly, it makes a more interesting story in that he was a merchant and the ship represented his trade. That's how he made his money, and certainly without the money it would be difficult to influence local politics. So the ship would represent his success as a merchant, but an enabler of his political life as well.